Sebastian, tell them what they're watching. Yeah!
Hey everybody, welcome to Popcorn Culture Podcast for popcorn, soda pop, popular media, and other popping things.
So very popular.
A script here, okay. Episode 1, everybody, okay. So, not a sponsored video, but we get all our popcorn for this show from Poppin' on Main. If you're local to our hometown of Quincy, there we go. Check it out. It's quite a popular popcorn shop, and they have different flavors every month. So be sure to check them out. Let's see. This week we got your classic kettle corn. We got cheesy pizza, and good old America flavor with, I believe, vanilla, cherry, and blue is usually raspberry, I assume.
And incidentally enough, today's Flag Day on the day we're recording it, so it's quite appropriate.
Is it really? Well,
Yeah.
who the hell would know that?
Me when you work in
Yeah.
news.
And today we got the blue soda, also raspberry. So, and yeah, we're gonna change it up every week.
Is it Jack or Jick Jack?
Good question. What do you think? I don't know.
Is it
I would
just
say Jick Jack. Yeah,
it says just say so it's maybe Jick
go
Jack
there.
or Jack Jack.
Well, if we can't pronounce it, I don't know if we're going to be able to drink this.
I'm just calling Jack Jack.
Ingredients you can't pronounce.
You cannot eat.
So, for our first episode, we gathered the other day for our first installment of our social movie nights that we do. And the first of that we've decided to turn into content. We'll revisit our first two movie nights in later episodes. For now, this is the subject of our third. We take it in turns to choose a movie, and this being the third, it was AJ's turn to choose, and he wanted us to watch Speed Racer, of all things. And, that's
Speed Racer.
good. And, hey, if that seems like an odd choice, I'd say it's the most mainstream choice of our first three. You'll learn more later.
Definitely a movie I wouldn't have sought out, though. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
certainly not.
It
No,
was close to my heart and my childhood, so that's why I had to show it.
Yep. Pop up some visual aids right around here, so we don't really need to be on camera. This 2008 film is adapted from the 1960s anime of the same title, one of the first Japanese cartoons ever to be exported to the US. A cartoon so utterly inconsequential in Japan that the Japanese dub of this movie kept the characters' English dub names instead of giving their original Japanese names back to them. Directed by the Wachowskis, fresh off the success of the original Matrix trilogy, the film features all the main characters of the anime. Emil Hirsch stars as Speed Racer, John Goodman as Pops Racer, Susan Sarandon as Mom Racer, Paulie Litt as Speed's little brother Spritle, Scott Porter as their deceased older brother Rex, Matthew Fox as the mysterious Racer X, Christina Ricci as Speed's girlfriend and helicopter pilot Trixie, Kik Gurry as Pops' mechanic Sparky, Benno Furman as Inspector Detector, and a couple of apes called Willie and Kenzie as the Racer family's pet chimpanzee / youngest brother, Chim Chim.
Yeah, never cute.
Some minor characters from the anime also make an appearance, including Christian Oliver as rival racer Snake Oiler and John Benfield as mob boss Cruncher Block. New characters introduced in this film include Roger Allam as business tycoon Arnold Royalton, Rain as fellow racer Teijo Togokan, Nan-Yu as Teijo's sister Horoko, Hiroyuki Sanada in a small role as the Togokan siblings' industrialist father, and Richard Roundtree as legendary retired racer Ben Burns.
Mhm.
Oh, out of the way, let's go into what we discovered going in. First, let's
Break it
the
open.
soda.
I was about to say, edit this part out.
My hands are just sweaty.
I'm for all the shirt opening.
Let's pretend we're good at this.
My shirt is too thin. You got any washcloths or anything? Yeah, you did it already.
Yeah, so I use my shirt. There you go.
There we go.
Easy sleeve.
I can get a washcloth.
All right, I'll pour the popcorn. So, as we started this film, we discovered, it starts out.
It can't be left out of the scene.
You can hear me. You're fine. Started off in what seems to be a normal school environment, as our boy, apparently actually named Speed Racer, has dreams of being a race car driver like his big brother. And it all seems very normal. We've got teeny tiny Ariel Winter as young Trixie, and I thought that was good. Christina Ricci and Ariel Winter make for a very good each other. I think they should play sisters in something.
And this is just a reminder to viewers, this was pre-Modern Family, so
Mhm.
this was before anybody actually knew who Ariel Winter was.
Yeah, teeny tiny Ariel Winter, like I said. But then he leaves the school building, and we see the blindingly colorful, epilepsy-inducing
Oh, yeah.
CGI scenery of this film's world.
It should have had a warning.
It was, what did we describe it? It was something along the lines of like the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, I compared it
meets-
to the Cat in the Hat, and also the children's films of Robert Rodriguez.
That
Very
was-
Spy Kids,
yeah.
very Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cat in the Hat for the colors, Shark Boy and Lava Girl for being CGI environments. There's very little practical set design in this film, and it worked. It has a very good children's aesthetic, and the whole film was clearly going for that. It was
Yes.
for being a live action cartoon. At one point there's someone was doing the sneaky walk, right?
Yes, and I give credit to a lot of the Wachowskis films. They are all very visually distinct. I can easily say that they don't usually look like other movies being made. They really do have a way of capturing exactly what the visual language of film.
Mhm.
So I got to give them a lot of credit that they made a film that really has a lot to look at. Problem is, if you look at it too long, it kind of hurts.
Yeah.
I got a bit of a headache. I think I had a few times would have bordered on a seizure. I'm sure. I'm not even epileptic, but
I have to wonder what that would have been like watching in the theater now that I think about it. Because
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Big screen just right in your face.
yeah. Watching it at home compared to watching it in the theater, I can only imagine what that effect was like when it first came out.
Coming out. I don't know. I don't know the exact like the exact technicians of like when this like the editing came out for like the use of the green screen. Oh, excuse me, got popcorn in my throat.
don't die in episode 1, dude.
Frog in my throat. I'm trying not to. But with like the technology they used, I forget what special effects company that they went with. I feel like during that time, because it was 2003, like very
2008.
Oh, 2008. Okay.
Mhm.
It still even when then, like I still felt like the graphics for it, the look of it was still very good, even though it was like very in your face and very bright and vibrant.
I was about to say this. Watching Speed Racer, this is a movie that honestly could not have been made like even 10 years earlier. Now it
98, yeah, they did. I think 98, they tried some like all CGI
They
live
could've-
action films. Yeah,
they could have tried it, but it wouldn't have looked good. I mean,
it's good. Yeah,
I admit that this movie has not aged perfectly, but it
No.
it still had plenty to look at that was still
Yeah.
very interesting and very unique.
Yeah.
oh, I just remember the factory scene brought about another comparison with all the green screen stuff. I compared it to epic rap battles of history,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and then with that amount of the factory scene was just that amount of activity on the green screen background.
Oh yeah. It reminded me of much of like we talked about how Spy Kids and like Fluke Factory.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
All the machinery flying through there and like the Fluke characters, the thumbs all being made.
Mhm.
Man. But like it still came all together very good. And it did have, which I love, like a lot of the special effects. If somebody got hit, or if there was a fast scene or something, they really did pull the screen back, added like some flair to it, add some like little sparkles to give that extra notion. Like if somebody got hit or something, like really show the emphasis of the damage.
Yeah, and and we're just talking about just the everyday scenes, just the
Yeah,
normal
everyday.
normal scenes, everything. Yeah, just like everything is in these heightened environments, just even the normal family dinners and hotels and stuff. And then let's talk about the race car driving scenes. Then they cranked that up. That was
Well, and those were easily the best parts of the film.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
I think my favorite part of it, even though I've watched the movie a bunch, is still the tropical, like the Hawaiian Sea. I don't know if they were in Hawaii or not, because I don't think it takes this part of Speed Racer doesn't take place on Earth.
I thought they said they were in like Fuji or something.
Oh, it was
Something-
Fuji.
something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like
It was supposed to be.
the blues and the greens just really insanely popped out, and the track was like purple with black in it as well.
Frankly, what this movie reminds me of, and I'm not trying to constantly compare apples to oranges because everything is such a different medium, but I have to wonder if the Wachowskis were influenced in any way by the F-Zero video game franchise.
Yeah.
For people who haven't played that, it's a futuristic racer where you go really, really stinking fast. And there's a lot of zero gravity sort of crap, and committing near homicide with your vehicle is encouraged rather than a penalty.
Yeah, that sounds like the racing in this film. Yeah. I don't know what the racing was like in the anime. I get the vibe it was a bit more normal race car.
A lot more normal.
I think the anime didn't have nearly as much because they didn't move nearly as quickly.
That's very true. I think there's not a lot of animation in that animed series.
I think this is the most
60s,
action that they got was like this, just the cars bumping back and forth between each other.
This was this was back before dubbing became really an industry.
Yeah, I was like one of the first 3 animes to hit the US.
Right after Astro Boy, and they didn't really attempt to match lip movements with anything.
No, it's like I see the Family Guy parody where they ended every sentence with "ha," just there was enough time. Which is weird because it takes a long time to say something in Japanese compared to English. Like I can always recognize a French animated film because the English dub actors have to speak really, really fast. But in anime dubbing, they usually have to draw out what they're saying a little bit. So I don't know what was going on in the 60s in Astro.
Cocaine. Lots of that. Which you think would help speed up the process of some things. But no, just the whole, and then the aspect of the cars too, like the just the CGI of like the background alone, and just like the background looks of everything was insane. But the cars themselves, not a single car in that movie was like copied. Each car was different from the other.
Yeah, it's not a stock car race. Everyone
race.
has their own custom built car with their own defenses because they are
Yeah.
car battles very much.
The closest thing I think is there were villainous factions, and I mean, like if you have a team of like 3 villains, their cars might look similar.
Yeah, they'll have a matching theme.
But other than that, though, every single
car
one
that suits their racing battling style.
Yeah, I give credit. You could definitely tell where so much of the attention and so much of the effort was put into this film, and I have to admire and respect that. Because I mean, I can barely imagine. If you ask me to design 20 different cars,
I can.
They all look the same.
I don't think I could pull that off. And the weapons, Speed Racer, he has his signature weapon, and at one point, just for one particularly cutthroat race, he gets outfitted with let's see, it was like buttons A through F or something, A through G, and then each one is a different defense to counteract a signature weapon that the other racers might whip out, and he employs every single one of those defenses over the course of the race, and it's very smartly done. It's just classic Gizmo laydown.
Reflecting on that, and I remember one of them was like deploying some kind of sensor thing or whatever. I don't think he used that though.
No, and I'm trying to remember.
And I have to wonder if they included that because it was in the anime or not. I honestly don't remember. But again, it's like, here are all your loadout, and we were all making predictions of, okay, so he's going to use all of them, and he's going to use them all in a row. And
we thought he'd use them sequentially, but he didn't.
No, he didn't. I mean, he used like the first 2 sequentially, but I don't think he used all of them.
The first scene where they actually show them all the gadgets, which takes place in the desert, would have been perfect for the drone. I felt like flying through the air, almost like a falcon through the desert.
I'm not sure what that was supposed to do. That was the thing.
Yeah, and
because Trixie is his spotter. Trixie's in the helicopter spotting other cars for it.
Yeah, so obviously it didn't make too much sense to have it. And so I wonder if like in the special features, maybe like behind the scenes or extra
or deleted scenes
or something, they finally used that in there. Because like you just said, that makes sense. Like they didn't actually need that because they had Trixie in the copter.
Yeah. And I want to go off on a slight tangent, but I really liked Trixie's character in this because in a lot of media, but especially in anime, usually girls exist to either be the girlfriend or in some cases the cheerleader. I personally like that the first time we see Trixie, she flat out sucker punches another girl.
Yeah.
And is actually a very active character in this sort of thing. She contributes. She's not the focus, obviously, but she definitely has her own agency. And I
And
don't.
even back in the anime, she was
Yeah.
the spotter. She
Yeah.
she flew the helicopter,
Yeah,
so she
but
had a role even then.
I don't know how, again, dynamic of a character she was in the anime, but in this one, I really liked her characterization.
But yeah,
I love Christina Ricci in almost anything.
Yeah.
But I really liked what they did with this character and didn't just make her a damsel or put her on the side to say, go Speed, go. You know,
She really played the character.
she really
well.
played the character well.
Oh
She
my
contributed and she had a place in the film. I really liked
Yeah.
that.
She really, like,
Yeah.
literally.
at one point when Tejo is too sick to do the morning leg of the race, she covertly takes his place.
Yeah. During the one of the races.
Yes. Also, I love the fact that I said that Tejo looked like a Japanese pop star. I'm slightly wrong. He's a Korean pop star,
Oh,
but he is a pop star.
Yeah,
So.
take back to Korean. Yeah,
The actor Rain is Korean.
Really?
Yeah.
But hey, I wasn't off on the pop star thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and his sister is named Nanyu, so that's not a Japanese name. So they're
Yeah.
so fake Japanese, but they got Hiroyuki Sanada, so he's really Japanese.
You know
so
what?
that's good,
I'm just happy that they didn't get white people to play those characters.
You couldn't do that in
Well,
2008, although that happened in a later Wachowskis film, but it had a motif there.
Yeah.
Do I
But-
need to remind you of Emma Stone playing a quarter Chinese woman in a Cameron Crowe movie?
Oh,
I'm just saying, even in 2008, they had problems. with
Yeah.
that.
Let's go see.
But even in this movie, they had a lot of diverse people. And
Oh, yeah,
my
yeah,
God,
but it was
really
definitely
impressed.
global racing was the idea, and
It was actually really impressive. I mean,
and even within the main
announcers.
cast, yeah, there were announcers from all over the world,
yeah.
and Royalton was English, and I believe Sparky was Australian, which
Yeah.
I'm sure is a new change made to this. I'm sure he wasn't
Well,
Australian in the
the
anime.
inspector, the actor, I believe, is German or Dutch or something.
Yeah, there were
Definitely something
a few.
European.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking up the cast while we were watching the film, and quite a few of them were only in movies from their home country,
Yeah.
other than this one. Yeah.
So-
Which is a weird type of movie to have like all these people come
See,
together.
I love that because that's how I usually discover these actors, even if they haven't done
Yeah.
a lot of work here in America. This is usually how I discover some of their work. I mean,
Yeah,
need I remind you that it's movies like Inglourious Basterds getting German actors that we got Christoph Waltz introduced to the world.
Oh, that's- yeah.
So, you know,
He's
sometimes
phenomenal too.
sometimes you discover something amazing when you do go for more global casting in scenarios like this.
and I mean, as for the acting in general, is the actors go hard in this
Mhm.
film. They do what they were paid to do for sure, and especially Susan Sarandon and John Goodman.
Oh,
What else do you
it's
expect? But
amazing.
they were phenomenal as the supportive parents who, they've lost a son to race car driving, and their second son is also passionate about the same thing, and they don't want him to die, but they don't want him to be unhappy either, and they play that. They got, I mean, just by name alone, it's good acting, and yeah, they go hard. Nobody phones it in this film.
Well,
maybe Sprite. I'm kidding.
well,
He's a
okay,
kid. He's doing his best.
I don't blame the actor for Spritle because I do remember from the anime Spritle being the hyperactive kid
Yeah.
brother. And quite frankly, I believe the actor was doing, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. I believe he was just doing what he was meant to do. And I get that he's the comic relief. He's supposed to do all those things. The only thing that bothered me is that his shenanigans would pop up in the middle of scenes that were supposed to
Yeah.
be dramatically driven. Like when Royalton is talking to Speed
I
about
was
crushing
just
his
about to say
family,
that.
Yeah.
and they'll stop for him running around like a moron.
Going crazy.
And then I'm going to crush your family. Oh, now he's in a trench coat.
Yeah.
And I'll see to it your father is run out of business. Oh, now he's in a go-kart.
And then
It's
he
like,
like the go-kart.
no, I mean, you can do maybe 3 minutes of the Spritle scene at once and then focus on the dramatic elements.
Yeah,
I didn't like the interspersed Spritle stuff because that is where it starts to get annoying. That's
Yeah.
when it starts to get grating with the whole idea of, the plot is happening and you keep interrupting it for these shenanigans.
Yeah.
I don't mind the shenanigans
When they're appropriate.
when it's appropriate. But again, when you're going to interrupt the actual plot, the reason that Speed has to do something in this movie to keep cutting back to this kid for 30 seconds, that, well, the kid and his monkey, that's when it gets annoying. And I mean, they even did that. They even did that during the big Rick's when he's at home trying to watch. Hide from his parents. So I don't blame the actor. I think he did his job, and I think he did it well. I just think it was an issue that they didn't
Need him all.
No. It's not that I don't think they didn't need him. I think it's the fact that they focused on him at the wrong points.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it was a little too much of him, and like not enough Sparky. I'd say like Sparky is hanging around doing nothing for the good first 3/4 of the film, and then like near the end they try to convince us that Sparky's been a character this whole time. You know, like,
The only time
Go ahead.
another time we actually hear him is when he's talking or he's reading the newspaper in the morning twice. That's like his two main parts, and then he's like very viable in the very, 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 very end of the movie where he actually gets like a little bit of time, not a whole time, but a little bit of time to himself in like the celebration of everything.
The thing that just surprised me is why no one mentioned that this guy just seems to, out of nowhere, live with this family.
Yeah.
I mean, do they not?
Does he actually live with them though? We don't actually
it's
know.
a bit
He
confusing.
showed up and he was at their house at breakfast.
Yeah, he's always and
all the time.
Trixie's always at breakfast too, and then like I get okay, like she and Speed are out of high school at the start of the
They're
film,
dating,
but so yeah, does she live there? It's a bit ambiguous what the whole home situation
well,
is.
considering it looked like Speed shares a single bed to himself,
Right.
I'm gonna say no,
And
unless they're really chaste.
In his child bedroom.
Yeah.
Which was his brother's before before he left. Because then Rex had it, and then after Rex left, Speed took it over.
Well, I mean, if your brother died, wouldn't you just immediately claim all of his stuff?
Maybe not his room.
I'm kidding.
I mean, he left him his car. I mean, my brother, I wouldn't mind my brother leaving his car.
But actually, we're going back to what you said about Sarandon and Goodman. Like you said, they lose their oldest son to racing. I loved the fact that it could have been so easy to lean into the old stereotype of your brother died, you're not racing ever, and him having to do it behind their back.
Yeah.
It's like I know that wouldn't be appropriate to the anime, but
Yeah, and
I am so tired of that trope.
yeah, and so yeah, they don't excise all racing from their life because they're auto mechanics anyway. It's their whole life. They're not just gonna
And
give up their whole lives for that.
And they never ever make it seem like racing will be the death of Speed ever. They express their concern for his safety, obviously, but they never say, "I'm never ever allowing you to ever race ever."
He doesn't have to go behind their backs until it's a very dangerous underground kind of race.
Yeah. And even then, it wasn't so much the racing as it was the methods used in the race that were dangerous.
Yeah.
But
The exact racetrack that killed Rex.
Yeah, going back to Goodman's performance specifically, I really wanted to highlight John Goodman. John Goodman is one of those actors that I have nothing but the utmost respect for.
Oh yeah.
Whenever I see him, well, in most films, I want to say, let's not forget he made King Ralph. But in most films I've seen John Goodman in, especially in the last 15 years or so, this is a man who gives 100% of himself, and it shows in his performance. But what I loved with his performance in this film specifically is the fact that it is so easy to play that character like the big lumbering dumbass dad.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't play that. He played him with conviction, with heart. He knew what he was talking about. He knew why he does what he does.
Yeah.
And his passion for his job, his family, his craft, everything showed in his performance, especially in that one scene where he is pretty much bearing his soul to his son.
And I wish I remembered the dialogue, but yeah, it's just near the end of the film when Speed is having his moment where he feels like everything he did was all for nothing. Pops comes to him and says, wasn't nothing. I saw you fight for what you believed in with integrity, and he says something like, and that's what a father lives for, to see. That's the reason one becomes a father, is to see that. And I was like, holy crap, what a speech for this
Yeah.
film.
Huge moment.
And I love the fact that he got to kick some ass too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there were some ninja scenes in this,
Yeah,
of course.
ninja scenes,
And-
funny ninja.
And again, it was just amazing that you think, oh, here's this big lumbering mechanic guy. What's he gonna do against a ninja? Then he proceeds to put the smack down on him.
Full WWE.
Yeah.
Champion wrestler.
Yeah.
And fucking beats all the non-just.
So I really have to commend Goodman. The only person I feel didn't get enough out of this film, I hate to say it, is Speed. And I don't
Yeah, little kind of vanilla hero. Kind of.
I don't blame Emil Hirsch. I think Emil Hirsch was actually great in the
He
role.
was.
First of all, he really looked the part. And second of all, I really did think he gave it everything he got. It's just Speed, to me, when he's not racing, seems like a very reactionary character. He does what the plot demands,
Mhm.
just because it's what he has to do.
He is the race.
And with only maybe a couple of exceptions, when he is not racing, Speed is just kind of there to bounce off of what other people are saying or doing.
Mhm.
And that's the one part of the film, in terms of the characters, I feel where the movie really falls flat. I can't tell you a single line of dialogue that Speed says.
The only thing I can remember is if I had to tell you truly right now, to be honest, and then he gets cut off from Mr. Royalton. I forget the actor who portrayed Mr. Royalton, but he's a British actor, famous British actor, and then he gets cut off. So as you said, like he does bounce off other characters very much so. Like he did, like even the scenes, like I don't even know if he even has a moment to himself in the movie. Besides like the very beginning when he's sitting in the locker room waiting to start the race.
Yeah.
But even then, he's not saying anything.
No, he's just
Yeah,
waiting.
he's
doing
just sitting
it.
there,
He's
yeah.
just sitting there waiting, kind
Yeah.
of like the rest of us.
Yeah, throughout everything is
And like I
it's about what everyone around Speed thinks.
yes,
And, yeah.
and like I said, I do not blame Emil Hirsch for that. Emil Hirsch is a great actor. I've seen him in a lot of things where he's fantastic. But I do think that is an issue, because what little I remember of the anime when I was very young, Speed was always that kind of character. He was the hero, and that was about it. And this, I think, could have been their opportunity to really breathe some more life into that.
More
Or,
personalities.
yeah, build him up a little bit more. But no, it's kind of like you said, the whole Ricky Bobby aspect. He's born, won't go fast. He goes fast.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I wish
So-
it is kind of, I don't know, sad, depressing, or let downish, where he is just kind of trying to follow in his brother's footsteps. And I know it's that he almost feels like he has to because his brother died technically, and then like he's doing what he did because his brother loved to do it. He loved to do it as well,
Yeah.
but almost like he feels like he's in his shadow still. Like even though he can, like in the show, like he does so many grand things, he always feels like he's under his brother's shadow. Especially, I don't know, should we
And see,
say that?
Yeah, let's
Spoil it a little bit.
are you talking about like the whole
Racer
X? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Because it's a
yeah,
little.
I wanna that is, I mean, that is something I wanted to address, is but I don't think it's on the topic you were on right now.
No,
But
it's a little bit kind of is and a little bit isn't.
but
Because
it's just more about just it's about Speed following in Rex's footsteps. Is the point you were making, and then,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
again, even then, you don't really get many opportunities for Speed to reflect on that himself. You
Yeah.
either see him as a kid reflecting on it, or without any language, which is good.
yeah.
But almost always you hear someone else talking about how Rex's death
Yeah.
affects Speed,
Yeah.
as opposed to Speed talking about it
Yeah.
himself.
Which I'll let you keep on. You're good. No, the scene where he blows up because during that scene with Tokakon where he gets betrayed by Tokakon,
Yeah.
he blows up. That's an awesome scene because
Yeah.
he literally shows like the emotion of him exploding, getting so angry at everything that happened. He put everything's heart and soul, everything into it, and then
Yeah.
there's still nothing. in
And
the end
that was still a great moment
Yeah.
that I do
Oh,
think. I
same.
just wish we had more moments
of
like
that, of that, and then mixed with the Racer X moment.
Yes.
I want to talk about that. The character of Racer X employs what TV Tropes calls not his sled. That's based on the whole thing, what is Rosebud? It was his sled. It was his sled when he was a kid. And so it's a plot twist that everybody knows. And then not his sled is when a story takes a plot twist that everybody knows. It takes some adaptation and makes it not that. In the anime, the narrator and Racer X's internal monologue are constantly reminding the audience that Racer X is secretly Speed's older brother, Rex Racer,
Mhm.
secretly doing secret stuff and hiding his identity, and he can't tell his family. And Racer X is played by Matthew Fox. It was the first thing I've seen him in other than Lost. First thing I've seen him in Clean Shaven.
You're not a Party of Five fan?
Can't say I have. No.
Mm.
There. Matthew Fox is great as Racer X, and so right from the get-go, Rex and X are clearly played by two different actors, and Speed suspects for a while that X is his brother because he showed up in the racing circuit shortly after Rex's death, and
2 years.
2 years after, and ultimately Racer X unmasks himself to Speed, and Speed sees that he's not Rex, and I'll just say that's not the end of it, but I really I don't know. I thought that was really good, just to play with our expectations like that, and I mean it's just I know it certainly worked pretty well rather than telegraphing a reveal.
Oh, yeah, well, it keeps the audience guessing. It gives it that twist that everybody loves to enjoy.
I mean, I'll admit I was not expecting that, but then when they
Yeah, let's just say subversion of expectations is not inherently a good thing. Let's
When
take that lesson away.
when
People are thinking it is.
When a subversion of expectation, I believe, suits the plot, I'm all for it. When it's just trying to be, ha ha, I'm smarter than you, audience, that's when it pisses me off.
Yeah, I think it worked in this story because it came at Speed's lowest moment, and when Speed thought he had a glimmer of hope,
yeah,
he did not. Racer X has to convince him to perk up in his own right. Yeah.
So in this case, yes, I don't think it was one of those instances of anybody trying to outsmart the audience. So I didn't hate it. I didn't expect it, but I didn't hate it.
No, and downright the whole movie, I think, because for me, it just for me, it's very emotional scene, especially in the end where I don't know if we're always spoiling the movie. We are talking about it.
I think I mean we're.
You can kind of guess what
I
happens.
suppose we've talked enough about stuff near the end. We'll call now spoiler warning.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want to go see the movie, let's stop here. So what were you going to say?
Oh, in the end, Speed Racer does win the Grand Prix, and during the whole scene of it, he is just blowing by the racers. It's scene after scene of showing his family going crazy, of him in his car going extremely fast, of him racing, flying by the others. And in the scene, it's not just a normal car fight; it's a car race. It's a car fight because they still use the jumper. The OP jump. The OP jump.
Mind you, and already he was the last person to register for the race, so he starts in 40th place before he wins.
Yeah. And everybody's against
final
him.
position.
Every racer.
Ed Royalton has paid off some people to kill him off.
Before he gets out there, yeah.
$1 million to the racer who kills Speed.
Which
right?
This is a kids movie, mind you.
Yeah.
So they're already implementing. They want to kill this person, and so they go through it, and just the scene's so powerful, and then the Speed has his down moment where Royalton kind of has his racer becomes a skeevy scumbag and uses the skeevy move called the spirit hook and hits his car and takes out himself and trying to take out Speed, but it doesn't work out. Which I love the safety mechanism in all the cars. It's like a big
that's right. Yeah, it's their classic. They're okay. I can see their parachutes.
Yeah,
how they implement that in this movie is that when there's an explosion, you can see this bubble, this protective bubble encircle the racers. So so you can assume that in most of those horrendous crashes, they do not die because you can clearly see the bubble that they deployed.
And there is one scene where you literally do see their parachutes.
Pop out because you hear the big one. He's the guy.
The car goes off the cliff.
And you hear the parachute.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, during that scene, his car shut down. And in the very beginning of the movie, Rex and Speed have this moment with the car, listen to the car, follow the car's needs, which is a little weird because
I don't think it works that way.
it doesn't work that way. Cars don't like tell you things. I mean, besides you hearing different noise, like that doesn't sound good, but it can't.
Yeah, but
actually
yeah,
tell you
it's
anything.
speed has his spiritual connection with the car. He figures
Yeah,
out what's going on. Like
He
in
uses
the,
the force.
yeah, like in the audience, you can see Pops pondering what could be wrong with it. But would Sparky have known to tell Speed that? Would Speed know it? Speed doesn't know, but he listens to the car
Of course,
spiritually,
yeah.
and he
Sticks his
and he
hand out,
knows
his foot
he
out.
knows exactly what to do. Yeah.
Pops it in fifth gear, pops that thing back into drive, gets it going, and does this beautiful burnout like a toilet bowl in reverse, and just flies right out of there. And then he's flying by everybody, and the music's epic. The scenes are epic because it's just colors flashing by. There's the whole scene where the zebras are like running with you, the
You
cars.
get a brilliant reorchestration of the Speed Racer theme song.
Oh yeah.
And
And it's just this huge epic moment. And I'm always brought to tears to that scene every freaking time. Every freaking time. I'm a big old mushy baby about that. And it's just when you get done with it at the very end of it, you're breathing almost as hard as Speed is. And you're just like, oh my God. Oh, what happened? Oh, did he just win? He just won. And then it becomes the whole huge mess of just everybody freaking out, going crazy. And I do love the love scene between
You mean the kissing scene
the
between
kissing
Speed
scene,
and Trixie?
Trixie, yeah.
Yeah, it's
because they
yeah,
talk
it's
about
like
it
yeah,
earlier.
Speed promises that he'll take he'll take Trixie, you know, and then
Not a
Prove his love
blood
in
scene.
front of the
It's
whole
a
world, yeah.
PG film, folks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
romantic scene. I think
Yes.
would be what you meant. And yeah, they
show up in
he
1,000
kisses his
lights.
girlfriend in front of the whole world
Well,
as he's won the
it's
Grand Prix.
It's a nice payoff because earlier he promises he would do that. when
Yeah.
he wins his next big race.
Yeah.
So
And so yeah, for me the whole movie it just works together. It does have all of its little sharp edges that could have been filed down or some loose ends that could have been tidied up. But another thing that always keeps popping in my brain, I love. We talk about the graphics in the very beginning. And I've tried to get it in there, but I'm going to get it now. The audience, they flash between the audience being real and then almost me-like characters.
Yeah, the audience is occasionally like very 2D.
Very
Yeah,
2D, like an old racing game almost, which is very
like a racing game.
Yeah.
Yeah, with an
Or a
indistinct
current Mario
audio.
Kart game.
Mario Kart game, yeah. Which I love that so much, and then it almost it makes you feel more there, almost.
Kind of, yeah.
I can see what you're
It
saying,
feel
yeah.
like you're there in that CGI world.
Because it
there.
makes you feel like you're playing it. It makes you feel like you're watching the movie, playing it as a video game,
Sure.
and living in it as a human through this.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, I will admit that, you can see the ending coming from a mile away.
Oh yeah.
But there
It's a
were,
sports film.
yeah, exactly.
It's about racing.
It's a sports film. Sports guy wins.
Exactly. The one thing I did like in it though, that just whenever I see cheaters in sports films, I just keep thinking, please don't let them get away with cheating every single time.
Yeah.
And so you were mentioning spear hooks.
The spear hooking, yeah, that is
As
the
spear,
one thing that's apparently illegal.
Yeah. It's
awful.
apparently in this film, it's the one thing that's illegal. It is a literal spear that hooks underneath the opponent's car. So when they're spinning out together, the car can't separate from the other one.
They spin out together.
And earlier in the film, that's what causes Speed to lose one of his races. So what I love is when it happens in the big race, he uses his OP jump move to show to all the cameras that this like Hall of Fame racer is using one.
Spear hooking him.
So even if Speed were to lose, he totally just ruined this guy's career for cheating.
There
So
you go.
that was like the biggest moment of catharsis for me during the climactic race that says, boom, I just stopped this guy from cheating.
They're so pretty passionate about cheating.
So yeah, for you, that was like the end of the movie for you. You could just
It wasn't the end of the movie, but that was the thing I found most satisfying.
Yeah.
That's good. That's very good.
But hey, while we're in spoiler territory, I want to say I kind of like the twist of Togo Khan's betrayal because throughout like what we've got is that Royalton wants to buy Togo Khan and so they figure okay they get Speed, they get Racer X, and so if they and Tejo can be Team Togo Khan in this race, Togo Khan's stock will go up and Royalton won't be able to buy. Instead, the stock goes up and Togo Khan sells to Royalton anyway.
Yep.
And that is the darkest moment for Speed. He's betrayed, and What's funny is Horiko, Tajo's sister, she kind of had like traitor vibes all the time. It turns out, she is a traitor to her family.
Yeah.
So she gets speed into the Grand Prix after that because she doesn't like the way
Well,
her family betrayed it. It's proven as something that overly sarcastic production said fairly recently is that whether betrayal is a good or bad thing, it all depends on who you're betraying.
well, it is kind of ambiguous as to whether or not Tejo really went along with that because the decision to sell
That's true.
was their father's.
It was on the CEO, and I forget what becomes of Tejo after that. Is he in
Well,
the Grand Prix as well?
No, he's not in the Grand Prix, but he watches, and I mean, he's cheering for speed all throughout the race.
Hmm.
So I think you get the idea that Tejo wasn't expecting it, but at the same time, earlier in the film, he was about to be fed to piranhas, and so probably didn't want to run the risk of going behind his father and Roland's back, or else something like that would happen to him again. So it's not that Tejo was the one who was betraying Speed as it was what he thought Tobacon, the company,
Yeah.
and their father was going to do. And Royalton just being an asshole. I was about to say, I was very surprised for a Speed Racer movie. There is actually quite a lot of corporate espionage.
Yeah. And I was saying, yeah, and it's very kids movie, and just how early Royalton reveals just how money driven racing is.
Oh,
the world of racing. And it's just basically near the very beginning when they're first about to sign their deal, and Speed is expressing the slightest glimmer of sportsmanship. Royalton chews him out about what the world is really like.
Yeah. Well, he called him a cow. How many times I've seen that dog, cow look of yours.
Yeah, it's just, you figure for a bright, flashy action sports fantasy race movie, they're talking about like car companies fixing races and driving up stock prices and
Racer's hero from the retired racer, he admits. So yeah,
and investigating ethics into sports racing. It's like I thought I was watching Speed Racer.
Yeah.
This sounds like I don't know. It sounds like something that Fast and Furious has probably done at this point.
Maybe.
I mean, disclaimer.
Apparently, people have seen those movies. They keep making a killing, but I don't know.
I was going to say I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie.
I've just had to look it up. Roger Allen is Royalton in the thing. He's the famous British actor.
I just know him as that one British guy who shows up everywhere.
And if you ever watch V for Vendetta, which is a movie that he's in, he plays another evil British
Like I said, he seems to be in British films.
But he plays the evil character very well, and so it's even scarier to think that like he was in a movie like V for Vendetta, and then he did Speed Racer pretty much like right after.
Yeah, but chances are it may have been one of those decisions where it's like he made V for Vendetta and then realized, hey, if I make Speed Racer, this is a movie I could take my family to, as opposed to V for Vendetta, which is
not a family.
You should not let your kids watch that movie.
Has to be even we're on Speed Racer. But yeah, Roger Allen, still great actor. Still love him.
Again, there really wasn't a performance that I didn't think was tried in this film. Some characters obviously got more attention than others, and some had more development than others.
The monkey wasn't always convincing.
No.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that sometimes that was a monkey and other times it was a chimp, but
yeah.
All right, can we put that phylogenetically? Apes totally are monkeys. All right, it's
okay, fine.
Get science behind this. Jeez.
I don't want to.
And you just use your science.
I don't want to get into a whole thing about it.
They had chimps. It was a young chimp, obviously. Yeah. People think chimps are smaller than humans. They're not. It's just that adult chimps will bite your face off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and they use female chimps for this aspect too, because they're a lot nicer.
Yeah. So I mean, the idea is that in the anime, Chim Chim would mimic whatever Sprite was doing, which is do whatever Sprite was doing. He's basically the youngest racer brother.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but what they got out of the ape was pretty good, and it just didn't always sync up perfectly. And I mean, how could it? You got a real ape, right?
Yeah, and I was about to say, when you're drawing
it was
an
very
ape to
fun.
do whatever, it's a lot easier
works,
to
yeah, no,
wrap
I
than
was-
drawing.
Yeah, I was only ripping on it. No,
Yeah.
they got a good performance out of the apes. Yeah.
Again, I don't judge animals for their acting. I'm just pleased when nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Either the animals or the people. I'm happy when no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
So they don't use real apes in films anymore. They CGI them, people, and really good actors.
I
Usually,
was about to say, as long as
usually Terry Notary, right? Yeah.
I was about to say, as long as Andy Serkis is on his A game, usually you never know.
Yeah. And just no, lost train of thought. Never mind.
Something about apes.
No, well, it was kind of because it was talking about the CGI, like the Planet of the Apes movie of like how CGI has come along so far.
No, yeah, but we're not here to talk about those movies.
Nope,
so.
So it's got to be like that. I will say, I keep having to switch. Here's something about popping on Maine. The flavors are very intense.
Mhm.
They got sweet flavors, they got savory flavors. Both are incredibly intense, and so I've been switching a lot. So
Which I like about popping on Maine is the for me it's actually the inconsistency of the potency of each kernel, because you can get one that's very light in seasoning and you get one that's intense in seasoning. So like when you get like an intense pizza popcorn one, you really taste that pizza in there, and I really like that.
I mean, just looking at the bowls right here, it looks like the pizza one is the clear winner.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it has been eating the most out of this one's your typical caramel, but like
yeah,
it's,
it's regular old kettle corn. Yeah.
Yeah.
so good though. But I recommend going watch Speed Racer. Really good. Like you said, a lot of heart, a lot of moments of like fatherhood, motherhood, brotherhood between both Speed and Rex. Even though there was a little
All the family relationships.
all of them, except for Sparky, because he didn't really do much.
He's not. Well,
He didn't. He
it's,
was
it's about mechanichood.
yeah.
Hey, he helped build the car at the
Okay,
end.
actually, no. I just thought of this. Did we actually ever see Sparky work on the car when the
Yeah.
whole family worked on the car
Yeah.
together?
Yeah, he was there.
Because I can only remember like the mom, Tracy, everybody else working on the
No,
car.
he was there. He was helping like lower stuff.
Yeah,
down.
as the movie went on, he got more and more involved.
Yeah.
They didn't really do much to set him up.
He never became so much a character as he was a punchline. But
Yeah.
no, he was there.
Also, I want to live in their house that they had. Their house was so awesome.
Very nice.
Very like it had the would 70s retro or 60s retro. I've always had a hard
I
time.
assume 60s because
60s
it's a
-ish.
60s anime.
Because,
Yeah.
it's 60s anime, but they still had like flying cars and huge racetracks that were bigger than skyscrapers, but yet there's still like the old.
It's
60s
retro futuristic.
Yeah.
It's like what would seem futuristic to a 60s audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I wish the future.
The Incredibles has that aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
almost
they-
like Jensen.
Yeah, but The Incredibles, I think, implies that it does take place in the 60s. I think.
It goes back and
I
forth.
think so, back because it
But-
first started in the 60s with the Mr. Incredible at the very beginning. But we're getting off. The
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a good movie, and I think it's definitely a movie that Mason and myself never would have watched had it not been AJ's a top pick for
Yeah.
his first movie night.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're gonna try to make this a thing because this
Yeah.
is something that requires just a lot less scripting and editing on my part. I've been very ADD with the channel and just not being able to get shit done. It's been, if you apologize, it's been that way for years and years and years. But yeah, this is just something we're just gonna sit around. We're gonna talk, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun new thing. Next week, we're gonna go see Across the Spider-Verse. I've just watched Into the Spider-Verse for the first time yesterday to prepare myself for it. And so yeah, we're gonna go Across the Spider-Verse and see how that revolutionizes the animation world once again. The week after that, I believe it'll be my turn for our second round of movie nights. And then at some point next month, we're gonna revisit the first two movie nights we did so that we can talk about them here.
Mhm. So, do we want to take a moment to give our final thoughts and some kind of verdict on this movie?
Verdict, huh?
I was thinking of an A to F scale, something easy.
Star rating or a.
Well, I just say, I don't have anything prepared.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would be a better way to end the review, is to just give our a very concise final thoughts.
If you want to lead off, I'll remind it.
Sure. Okay. So I'll just go ahead. So here are my final thoughts for this film. I know the Wachowskis are mostly known for their classic series of Matrix films and really pushing the film industry into a whole new direction in terms of visual storytelling and special effects. I mean, everywhere you looked in the 90s, everybody was ripping off the Matrix.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I liked the fact that in this film, they kept that same visual style and flair and moved it to an entirely new genre, a new thing I never would have expected the Matrix people to do. That said, I do feel it has some trappings. The effects are very much of their time. It is very hard to look at in some places. And there are certain characters and story beats that I feel could either have been done differently or done better. I have nothing but praise for the actors. And overall, this is a movie that, you know, you're not looking for high art or great high ideals, but a good family film that you can watch with your entire family. I would say that this is a good one. Overall, I would give this film a C+. Plenty of things that could have done better, but still a good watch all around.
Yeah, I pretty much have to agree with you because just the whole aspect of it, and then they got to watch now as me as a child in my childhood. I loved it even to this day. I still get the goosebumps while I was watching it. I couldn't stop smiling through it the whole time because for me it was just a huge nostalgia bomb. And if you're a speed racer person or even like an old Japanimation person, this is an awesome kind of like yeah, thanks for calling it that. Just a new way to watch it too, and the actors in it for such. It feels like it should have been a B movie, and it kind of came out as like a B plus A minus movie because of the actors, because of the certain people in it. They really, like I said, acted their asses off, and that just always it's always gonna be a number one in my heart for me. And I'll give it 4 chim chims out of 5.
Which translates to what grade?
Yeah. We're doing letter grades apparently.
So that was. Well, I'll probably give. For me, I'll give it a B plus. How I said it before, B plus.
All right.
Okay. Speed Racer. It made me feel like a kid again. I think, you know, if I'd seen it as a kid, it would have completely blown my mind, the action and story, and I wouldn't have noticed that the scenery was crappy. I was certainly, I mean, heck, I certainly didn't notice that in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I when I saw that as a kid, yeah, it's just, it just definitely has directors and a cast that just tried way too hard for what they were making, and that elevated it so much over what could have been just a really crappy adaptation. That's something that I don't know. It seems the movie was forgotten anyway, but I mean, I think it really shouldn't have been. People put a lot of love into this, and like not only just one monologue from John Goodman, but one line during that monologue. I didn't remember. I don't remember which probably steps on my point a little, but yeah, one line.
Go experience.
One line from John Goodman just really elevated the whole experience for me. There was just a lot of tender loving care, and it brought some stylization to film that we're starting to see more of now. You didn't see that much at the time in 2008, but the medium of film and especially animation is kind of starting to follow in this film's footsteps. So if you like the way things are going now, if just like, you know, in footsteps of like a Spider-Verse or Everything Everywhere All at Once, just, you know, very stylized filmmaking, I think you will like Speed Racer. I give it an A minus.
Ooh.
All right. So I'm the nasty one here.
No. It's just more criticizing.
Have you ever indicated otherwise?
Oh, I feel like nostalgia really beats it out. Really,
yeah. I'm an easy guy to play. I like everything. I know just about everything had some love behind it, and I feel that love. You know?
And I want to make that clear with my ranking, even though I'm giving it the lowest one. I still like this film. I just can't say that I love it as much as you guys do.
Well, that's the thing. Honestly, yours is probably the most like honest one and unbiased one out of it.
It's
still I'm unbiased.
Equally unbiased.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to please.
I still highly recommend it. And again, you can tell the people making this really loved what they were doing.
Oh,
The passion really bleeds through in this film. It's just, I've seen better movies of this caliber. So again, don't let my rating think it's bad. It's not. I just didn't love it as much as these do.
A C, hey, a C plus. That's like 78%. As Calvin once said, if politicians did their job 78% of the time, we'd be ecstatic. Right?
Exactly.
oh my god!
Heck, I'd settle for 60 at this point.
Yeah.
There's what it is. Yeah, and so it's just even like. Not to keep dragging it out, but even the not the big actors, because the scene that popped in my head is the scene where after Chim Chim and Sprite eat all the candy, the janitor comes in and goes, "Holy moly!"
Yeah, that janitor certainly was committed. I give him credit.
So like even the smaller actors put their hearts out.
Oh
in this
yeah,
movie.
yeah. This movie had so much passion into it. I give it a lot of credit.
No small actors, just small lines.
Thank you, Stanislavski.
Other way around. Oh, is it the other way?
Yeah. No small parts, just small actors is how the saying goes. Yeah.
Because it makes me feel every actor feel big. No, it's weird way for me to think it. Oh well, we'll cut this out. We have to. All right.
Yeah, well, no, we went beyond after I talked about what we're doing next time. So hopefully you remember. No, it's there are no cuts in popcorn culture podcast. Okay. Yep. All right. See you next time. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys.
Yeah.
To support Tapas and learn more, visit our link tree. Tapas and Stuff Productions is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon, including Knight Sadie Allen.